What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Back to Life podcast with Nikotjr. I am Nico, your host, and today's topic is going to be about failure breeding success. So we're going to talk about this concept of failure, where a lot of people truly get so scared at the idea of failing at something. And at the end of the day, you've got to think about the times in your life where you actually did fail, but you have to reflect on what you learned from that failure. If you look at failure as a negative, if you look at failure as something that is truly degrading, if it has a negative connotation, if it has negative context, of course, you're not going to want to fail. I embrace failure. I embrace, falling forward, but we call it failing forward because at the end of the day, you're going to learn something from whatever concept it is that you were learning from, whether it was a job opportunity or a relationship. There's times in life where you think like, oh my gosh, this would never end. I thought this was going to be forever. But at the end of the day, you got to think about something like this. Well, what if that relationship taught you how not to treat somebody else? What if that job taught you what you didn't like to do? What if that job taught you how not to do certain things? Those experiences taught you how not to do certain things, and all of a sudden you are a better person because of that. All of a sudden you can treat somebody in life a little bit more better. All of a sudden in life you can start a business and actually do things the right way, and you're not actually doing things the wrong way. How about that? How about learning that failure breeds success? And when we're talking about success, I want to touch on that word itself. A lot of times people can underestimate the word success. They just put this like monetary value on it, when at the end of the day, success is defined by the person, behind what's going on. You are the person who is going to define the word success. Success may mean something different to you than it does to me. For instance, money is not my driving factor. I don't really care about money. You got to have money. You got to pay bills. You got to have a comfortable life, blah, blah, blah. But money is not what drives me. Doing what I love drives me. Helping people, being a servant. I love to serve people. That is what drives me. And I feel like I'm more successful in my life when I am focused on those things versus when I'm focused on money. When I'm focused on money, I feel like there's just not much happening that's bringing me the satisfaction about what I'm doing. And so I think there's these times where in life, we truly sit around and we think that success is supposed to be defined by what the world tells us it needs to be defined by what people around us tell us that it needs to be defined by. But at the end of the day, success is defined by you and what it makes you want to have in life, not what everybody tells you need to have in life. So at the end of the day, you need to think about things like this. You need to say, okay, what does success mean to me? How can I fail forward? How can I truly go around in my life and find a way to be this positive attribute to the people around me, maybe to my environment, maybe to my community, maybe to whatever that is for you. Like, where are you right now in your life? Where do you find yourself to where you could help those people around you? And when you're trying to tie this all into, failure breeding success, you got to understand that whatever you're going through, nobody in your circle, nobody in your community, nobody except you truly understands that feeling. I get it. You might have a spouse, you might have a husband or a wife, kids, and you're like, oh, but they feel it too. They don't feel it like you feel it. And that's one of those things where you have to understand that you got to learn how to control those emotions. You can't let your emotions dictate how you feel towards certain things all the time. Of course, we're humans. We're going to get emotional. We're going to feel some type of way about this, that, or the other. But you can't let your emotions get in the way of what you're trying to accomplish. The moment you allow your emotions to become the driving factor of what you're trying to do, you're going to have the most hard time of your life trying to succeed in whatever that is. You got to understand that life is full of tasks. I call them challenges. A lot of people call them problems. That's a problem, okay? You should not think that your entire life is full of problems and you're trying to solve them. What you need to be understanding is that you're trying to get through challenges. Okay, this needs to get done today. That's simply a task or a challenge. Boom, knock it out, get it done. Now you're in a positive headspace. But if you always think about things as a problem, if you're constantly talking to yourself going, well, I've got this problem and I've got that problem and I've got another problem tomorrow, your life is just full of problems. But if you've just got challenges and tasks and things that you need to knock out so you can move forward to the next thing, all of a sudden you're in this like victorious mindset of, yes, I'm doing this and I'm winning, and I'm doing this and I'm knocking the next thing out, and I'm doing this and I'm getting the next thing done. And all of a sudden you get used to this feeling of being triumphant. You get used to this feeling of understanding that you are able to solve through challenges, to knock out tasks, to get things done throughout your life that sometimes people will just see as a problem. Some of the things we see as a problem are not a problem. But we are born into these societies where your mind is molded and shaped according to who you're surrounded with. Of course, your parents, of course, your siblings, your grandparents, things like that. But at the end of the day, you've got to be able to hit a certain age. You've got to be able to reach that age and go, okay, what does truly my life look like? What does my direction look like in the sense of, do I see these things as problems? Or just because my mom or dad complained about finances their entire life, do I have to complain about finances? You've got to understand that your parents are going to condition your mind to what they were conditioned to. So what did their parents teach? And this is a huge cycle. It goes down and down and down, generation to generation. You've got to be able to step away from that and go, okay, let me reform this conditional mindset of negativity. Because if you're constantly in a negative mindset, that failure will never breed the success that you're looking for. So if you are in a negative mindset, that failure will not breed the success that you are looking for. That success you aspire to have, that success you're just every single day scratching and clawing away at, whatever it is, you're not going to be able to reach that point in your life because at the end of the day, all of a sudden, everything is just a problem. So how do we work through some of these things? Like, I want to encourage you to be able to shift your complete mindset. Like, I'm talking about from beginning to end. Like, you've got to basically start a process to change your mindset. And it takes about 21 days in this life to create a habit, good or bad. And so guess what? Waking up in the morning and having good habits is something you have to work towards. Like, you don't just wake up and all of a sudden you're able to do what you say you're going to do. It takes practice. And practice might not make perfect, but dadgummit, you're going to be closer to where you're trying to be if you actually put in that work, you put in that time, and you actually experience the things you're trying to live out. You know, it's great to have role models. It's great to see people and say, man, I aspire to be like that person, and, you know, they're great at what they do, but you've got to figure out a way to dig deep and start becoming that person, you know, for somebody else. Somebody can look up to you. Somebody can say, I aspire to be that person. You don't need to be chasing something your entire life. Have your role models. Do what you got to do, but you've got to be able to start doing these things on your own. You shouldn't need motivation constantly. You shouldn't need someone to constantly kick you in the butt and say, come on, you can do this. You've got to go through your failures so that it can breed the success that you're trying to get. Like, life is full of opportunity. I thank God every single day for the opportunities we are able to go after. I mean, think about it. Whether you're talking spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, or financially, the opportunities that we are able to chase after, to go get, to grind after, I mean, they are limitless. Whether you're born in the United States of America, whether you're born in India, whether you're born in Dubai, whether you're born in Brazil, whether you're born in Antarctica, every environment has opportunities. It's like, what are you willing to do to get to that opportunity? Are you willing to work towards that opportunity? Are you willing to fail to get to the next level so that you can actually make something of yourself? You want to change the trajectory of your life? You want to change the trajectory of your family's life? Well, guess what? You got to do something about it. Who's going to just hand you something and all of a sudden you're winning in life? That's far and few in between. That's rare. That's something that you don't get the option of if you're not just born into the craziest, wealthiest families of their lives. Like, I think about my story and where I come from, and this is how my story started. My parents, living in the Soviet Union, 1989, they decide to come to the United States of America as refugees. They come over here with 3 kids. My mom was pregnant. She had her 4th child, which is my sister, in the United States, literally 2 months after they get here. Then I'm born about 4 years later, 1993. They have 5 kids. They live in the United States of America. They spoke no English. When they came over here, they made something of themselves. They had the chance at the land of opportunity, and they said, we are going to make something of this. And I can tell you stories like this day after day after day, but until you start living it, I mean, imagine being born in the United States of America, having that passport, having the ability to do what you literally want to do, having all of the freedoms that the United States of America offers, and still saying, your life's not fair. Think about that for a second. Imagine being born in the United States of America and having all of the opportunities that we are granted and still saying that life is not fair. That is selfish. That is selfish. That's not cool. And I encourage you, if you think like that, change your mindset today, right now, as you're listening to this. Okay? And there's amazing countries all over the world. So wherever you're born, like, that's your position. That's the situation you're in. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to sit around and wish that you lived in something else? Are you going to sit around and wish that your life looked like something else constantly? You're living in a fake reality at that point. You're living in a virtual reality. You're living on the internet. You're living in your head more than you're living where your 2 feet are. What are you going to do to get to that next level? And I thank my parents for my work ethic every day. I mean, we grew up in a household where like you just did what you had to do. Like nobody was hovering over me telling me to do my homework, but guess what? You make good grades. Or your brothers and sisters are going to look at you like, hey, what is wrong with you? Like get it together. And we were blessed enough to everybody being healthy, no health issues, things like that. So why wouldn't I take advantage of being extremely blessed and having great health and everything like that? Why would I spit in God's face and say, you know what? I'm not going to amount to nothing in this lifetime. That's selfish. If you are born in a great country, if you are born in a country with rights and like the power to be able to do basically what you want to do, and you take that for granted, that's literally not cool. So I want to encourage everybody that's listening and just say that life is not easy. Life is not going to just happen. It's not daisies and roses and just running through grass fields and thinking that everything's always going to be all right. But what life is it's full of challenges. It's full of opportunities. It's full of times and reasons for you to be better than you were yesterday. Like you have the ability, you have the option to sit there and say, I am going to do something with my life. You have the option to say, I'm going to be something. I'm going to help someone. I'm going to serve someone. And then you can make a difference in this world. And if it doesn't work out the first time, that is okay. Failure breeds success. Learn from it. Everything in life, I always say, is a lesson or a blessing. And if it was a lesson from the get-go, it turned out to be a blessing because it kept you from going through a door that you didn't need to go through. And sometimes we peek in that door, we look through, and we're like, I probably shouldn't go in there, but I'm going to go anyway. And you learn some harsh lessons. And they hurt, and they hurt, and they hurt, and they hurt. But you learn from them, but you learn something from it, and you don't have to go repeat it. That's the beauty of life. Experience is the best teacher, but you got to actually learn from it. Don't just go repeating the same mistakes again. If you want your failures to breed that success in your lifestyle, you want to learn from it. You don't want to repeat the same dumb things you were doing. What's the point of being human and trying to grow if you're going to keep going back to what you kept doing? What are you going to do if you keep getting in the same position, the same outcome? I think they say that's the actual definition of crazy or insanity, is when you're trying to do the same thing over and over and over again, but expecting a different result. Imagine that's the lifestyle you live. You think you want something different in life, but you keep doing the same thing, not willing to make a change. What are you going to do? What are you going to do in order for failure to breed the success in your life that you want? The vision you have for your life, the vision you have for your family, your kids, your wife, your husband, whoever it is. You want to help your mom retire? You want to help your dad retire? What are you going to do to change that? You want your kids to go to college? What are you going to do to help that? You want your wife or your husband to have the best home life ever and just have everything that they ever wanted? What are you going to do to change that? And I get it. We come from all different kind of communities. We grew up on the government giving us food bank food and food stamps and all that kind of stuff. And that's not something I'm proud of. But that's something that I learned from. And I said to myself, I never want to get in that position again. When the government has to give you food, when the government has to provide because, your parents are over here, they need a little bit of help, and there's 5 kids, and it's just not making ends meet. They don't speak any English. The government steps in and they help here. And I'm very grateful for that. But I told myself that I never want to have to be in that position again. And I will do anything in my power to make sure that I, myself, and my family are going to be in a good position. Why would I sit there and take advantage of a system like that? Why would I sit there and say, okay, that's cool. Yeah, keep giving me free stuff. No, I want to work hard. I want to work through these things. I want to grind through these things. And what I learned is that as long as I'm willing, not going to fail, as long as I'm willing to fail, I will learn more from that experience than anything in life. Because if you are willing, that means you're willing to take the first step. I don't want to fail. I don't want to sit there and lose and lose and lose. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you are willing, that means you're willing to get started. If you're willing to fail, you're at least willing to take that first step. That means you're ready to start the process. That means you're ready to embark on that journey that's going to get you to the next step. And I always tell people, I made up this quote when I was writing my book, Stop Beating Yourself Up, that you can get on Amazon, is when you're going through life, when you're going through different things and you feel like this is just too much and this is too much and that's too much, remember that everything in life is just a stepping stone, not a set in stone. And if you don't understand that, think about it. Everything in life is just a stepping stone, not a set in stone. Every step of the way is to get you to the next step. Don't get stuck. Don't get stuck. Keep your mind in a growth mindset. Get yourself together. Work forward. Work and move and work and move and keep on pushing. Because the moment you allow yourself to feel sorry, the moment you allow yourself to get down on yourself, what are you doing? You're not helping yourself. You're helping the enemy win in that moment. You're letting the negativity, the bad energy, all that just negative stuff get you down. And now you're in a place of, well, I need help. I need this. And we get to those moments sometimes, but you got to be the one that helps yourself. Imagine a world where you are constantly pushing, grinding, growing, and just being the best version of yourself. Failure breeds success, folks. Failure truly breeds success, but you have to be willing to fail. And watch what happens when you're willing to fail, but you also put that work ethic, a great plan, great strategy, the right team around all of those different things. That's a crazy business right there. Imagine if you do that in a relationship. Imagine if you're willing to listen to somebody else and not just yourself. Imagine if you're willing to be a part of somebody's life knowing that you may have to make a few changes, that you might not be the best version for them, but you're willing to start working on yourself in certain ways. That's not failure. That's called growth. And people that think that changing is failure and changing that means you got too much ego. Okay? Have your morals. Stick to the right thing, right? In life, there's right and wrong. Stick to what is right, but be willing to grow through these things. That's what failure is. Failure is growth. And when you're willing to fail, you are saying to yourself, I am ready to grow. So I wanted to touch on failure breeding success. You can get that book as well with my entire life story, basically, up to a certain point on Amazon. So if you want to check that out, you can get Failure Breeds Success on Amazon. And then you can get my book, Stop Beating Yourself Up, on Amazon as well. The name is Nikotjr Jr. That's my full name. So you can search that up on Amazon. I just want to jump on today and really encourage everybody to be okay with failing. Be okay with that growth mindset. Be okay with understanding that in life, things will not go the way we always want them to go. But as long as we are willing to grow through it, we're going to go through it, man. So anyways, I appreciate y'all listening. Thank you so much. Had a great time being on this podcast. And if you want to listen next time, I'll be here. So I'll see you on the next one.